It's the way too early college football, week 2. Mouthful that I'm trying to say at one time and I can't get it out. College football week 2, way too early preview. We're going to be talking about that today. Oh my goodness. I don't know about you, but I am ready for college football. We have the spring game 3 weeks from today in Clemson, 1 o'clock in the Valley. Welcome to Clemson Football Live. I'm Brian. I hope you'll subscribe. If you like what I'm doing, I hope you'll subscribe and pass it along to people. Whether they're Clemson fans or not, I do talk about other college football teams. And today, just by the look of the thumbnail, you can see that we're going to be talking about a lot of teams because this is week 2 in college football. So I hope you'll subscribe and drop a quick comment in there and let me know that you're watching. Now, tell this real quick. Last night, I was in the grocery store getting some steaks to throw on the grill. It's my Friday night ritual. That's what I do. I get some steaks. It's like allowing my mind just to breathe through the power of red meat. And while I was in the grocery store, I ran into some viewers who has watched Bobby Durkins, and they've watched Clemson Football Live. And I just want to say hello to Ryan, Lily, Richard, and the wife. Ma'am, I am so sorry. I cannot remember your name. Please forgive me. I ask for some mercy here. But they're sweet people. They man, just wonderful people. They were, of course, dressed in their Clemson gear. And just great conversation. It's always nice to meet some really kind people out there. So good to see y'all and always say hello. But it was great. It's great. I've ran into them before, but I never got to meet Ryan, the father. And yesterday, it was great. So it's good to see you. Hope you'll drop a comment in here and let me know that you are in here today. So let's talk about week 2 of college football. Now, we are 23 weeks from week 0. Week 0 is August the 24th. Week 1, that's when Clemson plays Georgia in the neutral game in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We're 24 weeks out from that. So I'm going to share this FBS college football schedule from FBSschedules.com. And we're just going to look over the schedule for week 2. So the very first game is BYU at SMU. Now you got to think, SMU's in the ACC. This is an ACC game versus a Big 12 team. It's just, God, it's weird. BYU is one of the most beautiful stadiums or surrounding areas of a stadium that I've ever seen. And you're like, have you been there? No, I want to go there. I've seen the pictures. Google it. I promise you, Google it. It's just absolutely beautiful. That game kicks off on a Friday. I don't know if FBS Schedules has set this up for that Thursday would be included with week 1. They never do that. But you notice there's not a Thursday game. That's kind of odd. Next up, let's look at that game on Saturday. Now, this is the Clemson game. This is their very first home game of the year. They have Appalachian State coming down from Boone, North Carolina, probably about around 4 hours away. Now, I have been to Appalachian State. I saw a game there last year, and I want to tell you, it is a beautiful, beautiful area. The mountain encapsulates the stadium. And I went there, and here's the thing about this, folks. I'm not going to talk about whether Clemson wins or loses this Georgia game completely. Okay, I can't say that. Y'all know that I believe that Georgia's going to win this ball game, unless something crazy happens. Brian, have some hope, folks. I want can I make this clear? I want my Tigers to win this game. I want Clemson to beat Georgia. So flippin' bad. Clemson still has a lot of things to fix. And they're going against a team who has very few, if anything, to fix. Just going to leave that there. Y'all get mad, go ahead and get your kitten paws out and start pounding the keyboard. You're not a real fan. You're spoiled. Trust Dabo. Insert those comments there. I see them all the time. Those are also the same people who makes those comments who were shocked that we were 4-4 last year. And how it happened. Anyway, Appalachian State comes down. Appalachian State comes down, and we all know their history. They did what they did in 2007, but you could come back to me and you would be right. That's not the same team that's coming to play Clemson. Those players are in their 30s now. You're right. A few years ago, they went down to a College Station, beat Jimbo Fisher. Our former quarterback, Chase Bryce, was quarterbacking for Appalachian State then. He's not there anymore. But I'm just saying they have a history of coming in and beating people. You kind of wonder where Clemson's mind will be after the Georgia game according to how it went. Was it a close loss? Did you actually get the win? Was it a close loss, or did Georgia empty their bowels on you? And now you stagger, saturate in defecation into Death Valley, shocked, wondering what's the meaning of life, and then little old Appalachian State comes into Death Valley. That's a question. We got to watch that game. Respect them. Shane Bentley in here. It should be a good game. Roger Parks, who is a member, says, I still say best time to catch the dogs is early. Hey, you might be right, Roger. Roger, you might be right. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. You are right. The only thing here is Georgia's mad about the whole playoff thing last year. That's why they beat the crap out of Florida State. I mean, they went above and beyond to go, oh, we're going to murder them. And they did. That's the only thing that concerns me. Roger is a member. Hey, you see that little symbol beside his name? That means he is a member of Clemson Football Live. $3 per month or $5 per month. You just choose which tier. And Parker Henderson said it the other day. He was like, man, I don't even notice it coming out. If you want to support the channel, I do appreciate it. Roger, thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate you, my friend. Let's keep moving. Arkansas and Oklahoma State. Arkansas, it's like the last good team that they had, Bobby Petrino was coaching it. I know Sam Pittman had that good, decent year a few years ago, but it wasn't amazing. Bobby Petrino had those guys rolling. Faults or no faults, this guy had them rolling. And we all know what happened. But Arkansas is a tough job. He's playing against Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State has Mike Gundy. I'm a man, I'm 40. We all know that. Great and wonderful. You know that. But he's got to a point to where he's not messing up everything, but it reminds me of Georgia when Mark Richt was there. Mark Richt, he's there at Georgia, and he doesn't do so bad that you can fire him, because if you fire him, what message are you sending to the college football world? But Georgia, during that Mark Richt run, that's really hard to say. Mark Richt run. Sounds like a dog with a barking impediment. But Mark Richt run, he had some incredible players. I believe he should have won one, maybe two national championships during his time at Georgia. But you know what? He didn't. And after a while, you become complacent. And the question is the same thing going on with Mike Gundy? We'll see there. Roger Parks. Members are better looking than non-members, so sign up and get better looking today. I tell you right now, Roger, I hope you are in marketing, because this is the greatest way to twist people's arm and get them to do. There's nothing like good shaming. So, we move on from that. Oh, wow. That's crazy. Move on in to some other games right here. We have Colorado at Nebraska. So, Deion Sanders' second year, Matt Rule's second year. Last year, it was a pretty decent game. I think there was some trash talking by Matt Rule. Here's the thing about Matt Rule. Excuse me. This guy took over Baylor when they had faced almost the death penalty. And they were terrible the first year. The second year, they were improving, but they were not amazing. And then they were quite dangerous. Matt Rule has done this before in a much worse situation. And I'm not saying that Nebraska's going to come out and burn up the woods of college football and they're going to own it and it's going to be like the 90s and 80s with Tom Osborne. But what I am going to tell you is I will be shocked, floored, if Matt Rule's team in the next few years does not really show out. I mean, really. I believe he will do well. I don't know how they'll do this year. I think there will be improvements, but keep an eye on Matt Rule. He didn't do good with the Panthers. Can you tell me who would do well with the Panthers? You drive up to Charlotte, you look at that beautiful stadium sitting there, I mean, nestled right there in the middle of Charlotte. They don't know what they're doing with that football team. I'm not a big NFL fan, but, I mean, the end of the day, they have wasted that opportunity. Wasted it. Matt Rule couldn't coach in the NFL. Who can coach in the NFL? That's why you keep seeing those same coaches circle the toilet bowl of the pros. You can make a ton of money in college. Why go there? Anyway, Duke and Northwestern. Duke, the team that Clemson played at the very first game of the year last year didn't even exist after Game 5 after they lost to Notre Dame. You know. Riley Leonard got hurt. And now we look at Northwestern. I can't remember their coach's name, but that he took over at the very last second for Pat Fitzgerald after everything that went on. And folks, I'm going to tell you this. I haven't read everything that went on there. I've heard some really bad things. But I always kind of pump the brakes now when I see major changes like this happen all of a sudden, because not everything is as it seems. Call me whatever name you want to call me for saying that, but we've had so many things that over the past 4 years that's came out about certain really hot topic issues that it was not as it seemed. And a lot of people get upset because they were duped by certain things. That's all I'm going to say. And now their pride is not allowing them to admit they were duped. This, I don't know with Pat Fitzgerald. But I would tell you this. The guy took over and did a really good job with him. We'll move on forward here. Kansas at Illinois. Leopold finally got an extension and a pay raise. Coaching in Kansas is not easy. And he did it. So, congratulations to him. We'll see how he does. Kansas State at Tulane. I know that's not a game that you're going to be like, wow, I'm telling you right now, I'm setting my clock. I'm clearing my schedule. Nobody's getting married that day. I'm going to watch this game. No, but the thing about it is that Tulane, their coach, he left. The one that got them to the big win at the Cotton Bowl a couple of years ago against one of the best teams money could buy, which is Southern Cal. But I want to say the guy from Troy State took over. I think his name's Summerall. He can coach. So that'll be an interesting game. So you see a lot of these cross-conference games in here. Mississippi State at Arizona State. Pitt at Cincinnati. Scroll on down to UTSA and Texas State. You're like, why bring up that game? Is Jeff Troke? I think he's still out there. I think that's his name. He's still out there. They had a pretty good little run, but it's not as, hasn't been as incredible over the past year or so. But that's a tough place to coach. And then, of course, Texas State, they have a coach. He's an opportunist. There are bad opportunists and there's good opportunists. In layman's terms, bad opportunists. There's someone who will victimize people to get an opportunity. They'll steal from them. That stuff, that's a bad opportunist. A good opportunist is someone who says, hey, this is what's offered to me, and I can, if there's a good opportunity there that is not victimizing people, I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm a person like that. You give me a good opportunity, I'm going to take it. And he's down there at Texas State just clawing for whatever he can get. And I'm telling you, he's used the transfer portal quite well. Teams like that definitely can benefit from it. So that's an interesting game. Alabama playing USF. I mean, it's at Alabama. We know what happened last year at University of South Florida. I mean, Alabama looked terrible. But Kellen DeBoer, we'll see how he does in his first season. Notre Dame, NIU at Notre Dame. I don't know if this is the official rankings for next year. You know, preseason rankings, number 5 Notre Dame. I think that's kind of high. I mean, for me, I understand why. I understand why people are high on Riley Leonard. I really do. I really do. But I will tell you this. Marcus Freeman has got to stop losing games he doesn't supposed to lose. And number 5, to me, if I was Marcus Freeman, I would be like, look, guys, please don't rank me number 5. Put me number 15. Because I don't know how good NIU is. They're normally terrible. Every now and again, they'll have an okay team. But does this not look like a game that Notre Dame would almost blow? It does. It does. I've watched a lot of Notre Dame football. This seems like a game that, over recent, they would end up messing up. We will see. Iowa State and Iowa. Yeah, and what a sleeper of a game. You know, Kirk Ferentz is going into his 75th year at Iowa. And it just, Iowa football will produce some good players. They'll have a good season here and there. Last year, I think they were, 10-win season? But they have the offense. They have the offense of an old woman crossing the street. And everybody's like, well, we got our 10 wins. And it's like, is that the goal? Just get 10 wins? What type of loser mentality is that? And Iowa State, I mean, they've had Matt Campbell. Is Matt Campbell still there? I'm going to look that up while I'm on here. Matt Campbell. Is Matt Campbell still there? Let me see. Yeah, he's still at Iowa State. And, you know, probably 5 years ago, Matt Campbell could have probably left and taken a better job, but he hung around, and I'll tell you what happened. Iowa State happened to him. Now he doesn't look as appealing as a coach, whether that's right or wrong. Going to get some comments right here. Make this really, really quick. Roger Parks. Stopped watching Panthers when they threw the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was rough. Kelly Roll. Clemson will be better this year than last year. They still won't win a playoff game, but y'all will be on the upswing. Maybe so. Georgia, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and to be determined will be the Final Four this year. Bank it. Georgia versus Ohio State title game. Georgia takes 3 out of 4. Shane Bentley. Marcus Freeman is currently going through a Mark Richt phase. Richt would lose games they shouldn't. This is coming from a UGA fan. Huh? Fair enough. This team is different. Notre Dame isn't where they need to be yet. They're deeper and better than they have been in 15 years. Brian Kelly was too lazy to recruit as well as Marcus Freeman. It's interesting. It's interesting. I think about all the coaches that has came through Notre Dame over the past few years, Mike Elko being one of them. I think Mike Elko is going to do very well at Texas A&M. It's going to be tough because you're in the SEC. And the SEC just got even tougher with Texas, Oklahoma coming in. I just have a kind of I'm just scratching my head is like, how could they not lock down Mike Elko? If Kelly was going to leave, I don't know. I'll leave that alone. Let's keep going here. Marshall at Virginia Tech. they're not too terribly far from one another. But Virginia Tech seems to be on a minor upswing this year, and we'll see how that works. We'll see how that works, if they're continuing to trend up, or if they're going to kind of like, I don't know, consolidate, or, straighten out. We'll see. East Carolina at Old Dominion. I say always, but recently I've been finding myself wanting to go to Greenville, North Carolina, which it's a drive from the upstate of South Carolina, to go to a game at East Carolina. I've seen pictures of their stadium. It's not overly beautiful or anything. There's something really interesting about it. Coastal Carolina. I'm in the upstate of South Carolina, so I'm almost 4 hours from Coastal Carolina's campus there in Conway. Everybody calls it Myrtle Beach because it's so close. It's easy for everybody to understand the location of Coastal Carolina if you just say Myrtle Beach, but it's actually Conway, about 15 minutes out. And, seeing Jamie Chadwell leave, he takes the job at Liberty. They somehow got into the Fiesta Bowl, got the break speed off of them by Oregon. But still, that's what he does. He goes in, he takes a team, and he coaches them very well. They were just overmatched by Oregon. I wish they'd have never went to that bowl game. I think that put a trash can ending on a really solid season. They won the games they were supposed to win, blah, 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 blah. But now Coastal Carolina is without Grayson McCall. Grayson McCall is now, unfortunately, an NC State Wolfpack football player, and Clemson's going to have to play against him. And I'm telling you right now, if that guy, he's had some injury problems over the past few years, but I am telling you, folks, Grayson McCall is one of the best quarterbacks that if he stays healthy, that will play this year. Now, how NC State will use him, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to blow it, if they're going to mess up, if they're going to waste his talent. But I'm telling you, if Grayson McCall could suit up for the Clemson Tigers right now, sign, seal, deliver, I would pay for the young man to come to Clemson today. And that's not a shot at Cade. It's just where our program is at. We need a guy like him who can throw the team on his back. And, he's unbelievable. But he's no longer at Coastal Carolina. Tim Beck, this is his second year. And you kind of wondered, is Coastal Carolina going back to just, if we win 6 or 7 games, we're happy? It's really, really, it's just questionable. Going in here, my friends, got a few. Shane Bentley, a Georgia Bulldog, folks, just became a new member. Shane, thank you for supporting the channel. Folks, let me tell you right now. I'm going to go back up here to these comments from Roger Parks. Roger Parks said, members are better looking than non-members, so sign up and get better looking today. Today, Shane realized that, his looks was not really complimenting him. And look at that. He became a member, and Shane just said this. He walked up to the mirror after signing up. I just got a little cuter. Well, I'm not going to comment whether you have or not, but and you feel better. You could probably put this on your resume. You did that. That's great. But thank you for supporting the channel. And listen to this, folks. It's only $3 per month. There's Parker Henderson. Hey, Parker. Parker said this. It is so cheap, he doesn't even realize it comes out of his bank account. Really. $3 or $5 per month, you choose. I do appreciate it. Thank you, Shane. I really do appreciate it. All jokes aside. Roger Parks. Dark horses could be Southern Cal and Oklahoma. It's going to be interesting. I tell you, things are getting interested at Southern Cal. Lincoln Riley, I wonder if he regrets going there. Oklahoma will be interesting. They beat Texas last year after getting throttled Venable's very first year, and you kind of wonder what's going to go on this year. Dylan Gabriel leaves. goes to Oregon. That's interesting because Dante Moore, a highly recruited young man, left UCLA after his freshman season, and he's going to sit behind Dylan Gabriel. It's all weird, folks. I don't know, but that's interesting. Rodney Ellis, ECU, great fans. I'd love to go up there. Parker Henderson, talking about Grayson McCall. Yes, sir, we saw him live. Yes, sir, we did, and the guy is unbelievable. And a lot of people don't realize Grayson McCall is 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", 215, 220 pounds. I've seen this joker. I watched Trevor Lawrence play live, and he is not Trevor Lawrence. But I'm going to tell you this. I saw Trevor Lawrence play live, and this young man, Grayson McCall, he ran the RPO about as good as Trevor did. I know you think I'm crazy, folks. Listen to me. That's fine. I know what I saw. A young man have the ball down at a running back. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my, how did he throw that ball 30 yards on a rope that fast? Grayson McCall is unbelievable. Gorgeous Shane Bailey. This is hilarious. Rodney Ellis, yes, he is. Rodney Ellis says he will become a member when I have Bobby Durkins on as a guest. You better be careful what you wish for, my friend. You better. I don't even know if my channel could handle that. Getting back to this schedule. A lot of these games that you're going down are not unbelievable. You know? You're not, but it'll be college football. And let me there we go. There we go. Michigan and Texas. We'll talk about that in just a second. You don't understand. There's been a lot of changes at the coaching level. Like James Madison's been incredible since they came into FBS. I mean, they've been a pain in the butt in the Sun Belt, and not only at football. I mean, they've been a pain in the butt. But what's that guy's name? Kurt Cignetti or whatever his name is. He worked for Nick Saban, then went up there to James Madison. He's been there for a while. He just left. He went to Indiana. Former Clemson player Ray McLeod, his brother, transferred from South Florida, where Jeff Scott was at. He was playing quarterback for James Madison this past season. Well, he just transferred somewhere else. I don't know where. I can't remember. Maybe Texas State. I think it might have been Texas State. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you see guys like that. These coaches who's done well at certain schools, they're leaving. Rutgers. Will Rutgers continue to improve under what's his face? You know who I'm talking about. Greg Schiano. We have Texas at Michigan. I mean, this is an interesting game because we know that Texas is once again a front runner, front contender for the national title this year based on who they have returning, who they've signed. And then, of course, we have a 12-team playoff. Now it's going to go to 14 teams at, I think, 2026, which we'll blink our eyes and it will be there. But Texas at Michigan, you know, they both play in massive stadiums, so it's not like Michigan, those extra 6,000 people is going to throw, or 5,000, whatever it is going to throw Texas. Texas is used to playing in a very, very large stadium. Some teams that really bothers. They're like, man, I can't hear anything. And it's like, yeah, well, we play in a big stadium too. So Michigan has a new coach, and Harbaugh's gone. I wonder how that change is going to go over. Now the interim, he did a good job. And he had to coach a lot this season because the NCAA just wouldn't stop with Jim Harbaugh. And once again, I said this earlier. I talked about this earlier. You can disagree with me. That's fine. We can just let's be civil. We can be heated, but we can try to be civil. But when I saw that the NCAA, I've never seen them go after a coach twice in a season. I never have. Something's up there. And it goes beyond cheating. I think he pissed off somebody that's very powerful. He didn't follow the rules, Brian. It's simple. Get that aluminum hat off your head. Really? I think he was calling that basically we figure out some type of way to pay players across. If we're going to have this whole paying players thing, let's make sure that all the players are taken care of. Because what's happened is you have people who are hired to represent a product or a local, car dealer. They get the stars off of some of these teams. They give them an NIL deal, name, image, likeness. But there's still players who are on the team who maybe they're not impoverished, but their family. They come from a family who just struggles. Have you dealt with inflation? Inflation is awful. It's killing us. So you don't have to be living in a back alley under a dumpster to be feeling the effects of this. And unless you're a star player who people wants to represent their product because all eyes are on you, I understand. That doesn't make them a bad guy, or the people who's wanting to hire them to represent their brand or their car dealership or be a spokesperson for this, that, and the other. That's just life, folks. But the whole idea was, we're going to try to help these players who are, they're suffering and they're back home's not doing too good. That hasn't happened. Jim Harbaugh was the one who, and I don't know all of the details of that, what's going on or what he was proposing, but he was majorly saying we need to, if we're going to say we're doing this to help people, we need to figure out a way to pay everybody across the board. Because when your running back shows up in a Lamborghini, but your second string offensive lineman, he's getting phone calls from his family that, dad just lost his job and they don't have the money to come to the game this weekend, or they're struggling financially. And you talk about dividing a locker room, and it gets much worse than that. Jim Harbaugh saw that. Once again, I don't know his every bullet point, idea that he had. But I think it's hilarious that they just kept coming after him. Maybe it dealt nothing with that. But I think it did. Shane Bentley. Apparently someone from the NCAA doesn't like khaki pants. Yeah, true. Have NC State and Tennessee. This is in Charlotte. Now, Tennessee, both of these programs are in very interesting places. Tennessee, for instance, they have Nico, and I'm not even going to attempt his last name, Lamie Lava. I just attempted it. Guy's out of California. He had to sit behind Joe Milton. I told Tennessee fans last year, remember my brother-in-law graduated Tennessee. I told Tennessee fans, listen to me. Joe Milton's had one good game in his 5 years in college, and it was against Clemson in the Orange Bowl. And I said, I just don't see this guy working out for y'all. Well, he can flick his wrist, throw a pass 95 yards. He can run a blah, blah, blah 40. He's massive, and he did exactly what I said he was going to do. Using a little bit of logic and telling your fandom to shut up and take a back seat will temper your expectations. But it took a season, yet another one, his 6th season, to prove that I was right. In his 6 seasons, his best game he ever played was against the Clemson Tigers. I'm talking about against a worthwhile team. Now they have Nico. They've been waiting for Nico. And this young man, he's got a lot of expectation on him. And you have to back off of that expectation to a point. But Nico, I believe, can be the player they need him to be. Josh Heupel can coach football. He's a smart man. I was shocked when they hired him at Tennessee. After the whole Jeremy Pruitt, whatever went on there, went on with Butch Jones, wasting all that talent. Coaching matters. That's another example that I can show you that coaching matters. Who has the headset on the sideline matters, folks. This is not just a game of luck. If this is a game of luck, stop paying these guys so much money, because any old idiot can do it. You pay someone a lot of money because they're a specialist. So my point in all of this is we've seen Tennessee grow. Josh Heupel do a fantastic job. Now, NC State, you got Dave Doran. Dave's been around for a very long time. And who's his offensive coordinator? Who's his offensive? Is it Robert Anae? Is that his name? Robert Anae. Yeah, Robert Anae. It looks like it's a nay, but I've heard announcers say Robert Anae. This guy's been coaching. He's 65 years old. He has coached everywhere, and he's coached forever. And last year he had Brennan Armstrong, the redheaded left-handed quarterback that transferred in from Virginia. And just transparently, it didn't look good. And then they had that kid MJ Morris. That's the one we had to play. Clemson had to play him. He had the transfer portal. He's gone. But Grayson McCall going up there with KC Concepcion, that could be a really good game. It's just, I think across the board, I think that Tennessee is just a better football team. Across the board. I think that if Grayson McCall was at Tennessee right now, and I'm not talking about starting over Nico. Let's just imagine Nico was not there. But I told my brother-in-law, I said, dude, if I was Josh Heupel, I would have went after Grayson McCall last year. Go after him. Clemson could have went after him. We know he's not going to use the transfer portal. I get it. If you're another team out there, Auburn should have went out of Grayson McCall. I'm telling you, Grayson McCall is that good. If he can just stay healthy. Past few years, hasn't been able to stay healthy. Guy's a freak. But I just think overall Tennessee's going to be too much for them. Houston at Oklahoma. That'll be an interesting game. Dana Halverson or whatever his name is, he's gone. Playing at Oklahoma. Oklahoma needs to come in and win the games they're supposed to win. Win the games that's a toss-up. And then the games they're supposed to lose, play close. That's where they're at. Because what they did last year was, at the beginning of the season, they were winning the games they were supposed to win. They beat Texas, handily, by the way. And then they lost games they were not supposed to lose. That's hard. That's hard to build a team like that. That's hard to sell to recruits. So, Venables, I have a lot of belief in him up to this point, and he's given me a reason to not second guess him. So that's only second season, so I'll chill there. But I'm just saying, they're year 3. I know you got a new quarterback, but you need to do that. Here's an interesting game that'll fly under the radar for you. Jacksonville State at Louisville. Jacksonville State. Is Rich Rod still at Jacksonville State? I'm pretty sure he is. Rich Rodriguez. Yep. He is the head coach at Jacksonville State. They did pretty good this past year. And you can't tell me that Jacksonville State wouldn't like to go into Louisville and try to size them up. Brian Brom did a good job last year. Someone said this very well, and I think it applies to Louisville to a T. Louisville had enough gas in the tank for 10 games, not 12. And that's exactly what happened. Boise State and Oregon. When I think about that, I think about Who's that running back that was with Oregon? They lost to Boise State and he punched somebody. Hilarious. I'm not that I actually think that's hilarious. It's just anyway. There's cameras everywhere. Cameras everywhere, and you throw a punch. Good grief, folks! I've meant to bring this up and put this up here, but not that. This. The real madness will be here next month. You're like, what are you talking about? Well, I have joined the college huddle. Eric Boggs at the Ohio Podcast reached out to me a couple of months ago, or a month ago, and said, "Hey, I'd like for you to join the college huddle." They've organized a group of YouTubers who focus on their favorite college sports teams, and so they asked me to represent Clemson, and I said absolutely. So it launches next month. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to us possibly getting together and having a good time. Or not possibly, we are, and collaborating. There's a lot of guys who signed on. They've done a really good job of pulling a bunch of YouTubers together. And I'm going to tell you, folks, that is very difficult. It's very difficult to do. So kudos to them for that. So let's get back in here. I'm going to start closing this thing down. South Carolina at Kentucky. It's interesting to see South Carolina and Kentucky. These two go back and forth. They go back and forth. And no matter how good the other one is, they always seem to undermine the other. So South Carolina, they beat Kentucky this past year. Didn't they beat them 17-7? I believe so. And now they have to go to Kentucky week 2. We'll see how that goes. Baylor and Utah. Very odd game. Cam Rising's back for a 7th-year college football. Now, he did not play last year. He did not play. And it was so funny that Kyle Whittingham played the entire, or Kyle Whittingham. Sorry, not Ty Whittingham. Kyle Whittingham. Kyle Whittingham played this whole, he played it for weeks. Oh, yeah, Cam might play, Cam might not play. Cam went the entire season, didn't play. That's funny. DeKent's at Boston College are like, who? Or Duquesne, not DeKent's. Duquesne. Sorry. Make fun of me for that. Duquesne at Boston College, you're like, Brian, who cares? Bill O'Brien is coaching for Boston College now. Georgia Tech, Syracuse. You got to ask yourself, are they getting better? Are they not getting better? Syracuse has first-year head coach out of Georgia. They signed Kyle McCord out of the Ohio State to come play quarterback for them. Georgia Tech, Brent Key is doing what he's doing. That's a tough job, but he's doing it. Virginia and Wake Forest. Will we see Virginia turn the corner, or are we witnessing one of the last seasons of Tony Elliott as a head coach? Wake Forest. What's Dave Clawson going to do up there? It's a great question. So, folks, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to go through a couple of more comments. There's a bunch of comments that I've missed. Shane Bentley says, apparently someone from the NCAA doesn't like khaki pants, talking about Jim Harbaugh. That's true. Rodney Ellis, why do you move on after winning a natty? Am I wrong? I think he knew that the hammer was going to continue to come down on him, and it could possibly invalidate the national championship. That's me speculating. NC State is going to trip up Tennessee and ruin their chances at a SEC title. I don't know. I don't see that happening. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. But he thumbed his nose at them over the first issue and pissed them off, so they hit hard after the sign stealing stuff. That's fair to say. I would appreciate that, Kelly. There's 2 orange teams that I can't stand. One is Florida and one is Tennessee. NC State will get blown out. The only teams they upset is Clemson and FSU. That's why people bash the ACC. It's an interesting thought. Clemson, let me tell you this. Clemson can't sleep on that game. I think it's September the 21st where NC State comes to the Valley. Clemson cannot sleep on that game. September is a lot more challenging for Clemson. So I think Clemson and Florida State plays in September. So September basically sets the tone for Clemson's season. In fact, I'm going to look at it right now. Clemson's schedule. Clemson 2024 football schedule. I believe I'm right. No, Clemson plays Florida State October the 5th. But Clemson's schedule for the first 4 weeks, not September, but the first 4 weeks, is Georgia and Clemson on August 31st. I mean, come on. Give a day. App State. Then they're off on the 14th. Then on the 21st, NC State. Then they play Stanford, ACC. And then the next week they play Florida State. So in the first 5 games, which is over a 6-week period, counting the bye, the meat and potatoes of Clemson's season is there. And I would rather Clemson have some cupcakes at first just to get their feet up under them, but who knows? I mean, not who knows. It's not going to happen. Shane says, I still haven't forgiven Rich Rod for beating my dogs. I remember that game. Pat White, golly, he was great. Hit the like button from Kelly Roll. It's fair enough, Shane. As a Notre Dame fan, I really don't care about either of them. I've got a couple of diehard Tennessee fans as friends, so when they lose, it cracks me up. I know one well-known South Carolina fan would be perturbed if they lose that game. I bet so. You'll still be doing your own content too. What am I missing? What? You'll still be doing? Yes, I will still be doing my own content. So that was the thing to address, joining the college huddle. Yes, everything, the name is still mine. I still own my content. I still, the membership, anything that I receive, any super thanks or anything, it's still on mine. That was something they made very clear to me, and I appreciate that, because you would be shocked at how many people comes along and they say, well, listen, we're going to take 75% of whatever you earn, and if you ever say something we really don't like, well, guess what? All of a sudden, Clemson Football Live is ours, not yours. And don't even use your name anymore because we control that. So that was very much a big deal here, folks. 3 weeks from today, spring game, 1 o'clock, Death Valley. That's big. Then we go into that lull, and so at that time we'll be about 21 weeks from the start of the season, and for Clemson, we'll be about 20 weeks, something like that, from week 0. And what I'm looking for, I'll tell you what I'm looking for with Clemson. I'm looking for consistent growth among the offensive line, which will hopefully give Cade time to clear his head, calm down for a second, go through his progressions, get his feet set. And I know that I got that out of order, but this is just right off the top of my head. And then execute. Just execute. And if the play is not there, don't try to be a superhero by doing extra things. He's picked up bad habits, folks. That's what happens when you're in a system that is just out of control, right? When you're in a system that's not running well, it's not running on all cylinders. You got the defense. You look at the defense. The defense looks great, even with new people involved, whether it's on the field or off the field. But the point is Clemson has 2 different teams playing for them. You have a really excellent defense, and you have an offense who is trying to get fixed. Matt Luke being there, folks, is a big deal. But I still try to temper my expectations for Matt Luke. He can only do so much. So there's that. And then with Cade, I'm just asking Clemson fans, just be a little more patient with him. If I am the voice of reason for patience, that I see something here, because for me, I've called out things over the years, whether it deals with Dabo, whether it deals with his offensive coaching hires, Um, I've become public enemy number one. I am telling you, folks, if Cade ends up being a bust, okay. But right now, looking at this guy and going, he's done. He's done. He's not good. He's terrible. He's awful. You are just looking at the problems they've had at offensive line, the problems they've had with play calling, whether it deals with poor execution at the various units that make up the offensive unit, right? You're looking at that and holding a middle finger to it. It's not very logical. It's not very logical to do that completely. Have your questions. Do I have questions about Cade? Yes, I do. I do. I'm not saying that I don't have questions about Cade. I do. I do see what you're saying. I'm just saying if we give him a good offensive line and the wide receiver play becomes better, and then he's still making questionable decisions. But I would tell you this is probably going to have to carry into his senior season before, before we'll know. Catch the last few questions. Curious if Matt Luke gives some notable info to Clemson against UGA. I believe Luke was hired by UGA when he was let go at Ole Miss. He was, and he coached an incredible offensive line there when they won the 2021 national championship. Rodney Ellis, hopefully he can see the field and throw his receivers open. I hope the line gives him a few seconds. I mean, you have to have that. You have to have that. When a guy snaps the ball and he's automatically running for his life, the play has already broke down, and you have wide receivers who hasn't even went through the progressions. Heck, they don't even know that the play has broken down. So by the time they turn around, it's like, whoa, what's going on? Anyway. Good question, Shane, from Roger Parks. Folks, hope you have a wonderful Saturday. Hope you'll subscribe because it's free. I mean, it's free. It's like free. So hit the subscribe button, pass this along to your friends, family, neighbor, blah, 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 blah. It's a beautiful Saturday. Let's get out, enjoy it. It's nice and warm here in the upstate of South Carolina. You take care of yourself, and as always, go Tigers.